wanted to puke. Okay, so I just wanted to.
Friday night, live from Atlanta. It's your boy Dre, aka Giant the R&B Bully, aka Andre Marcellus. How's your evening? How's everyone? Sandy, I see you in there. I'm coming to you in 2 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, this is out of control. He's back in the news. And as you just heard, when I kicked it off, the messy sweet spot say, this is horrible. Horrible. And to be honest, guys, I don't like speaking on him in this way and bringing this to you guys, but I have to bring it to you because it's happening in front of my face. Now, did he do these things that they're saying? I don't know. We're going to listen to the guy talk. We're going to talk about it. And we just going to reflect. So let me bring Sandy in. And we're going to get to it. Sandy, what's good?
Hey, how you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. How's your evening?
Going pretty well.
God is good, ain't he?
All the time.
What do you think about this TD Jakes, man? It's almost every other month or so something is coming out about this man. And quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you. I watched his sermon last week. He is a wonderful, wonderful storyteller and motivator. Now, would I like him to possibly, hey, Harlem, would I like him to possibly teach me more? Like Pastor Geno Jennings? Yes. But for the most part, he is a great motivational speaker. I get very, very energized and motivated listening to him on Sundays. I do. What about you, Sandy?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. From the first time that I saw him, I think maybe on Oprah, I really just felt like he was a fraud. And this is coming from somebody who was raised in the church.
Right.
I went to religious school all the way to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt something fraudulent about him. I didn't feel that he was authentic. And I never liked the guy, to put it mildly.
Right.
And the things that he was teaching, I don't know. It just seemed like, with that woman, thou art loosed and all these things. I'm going to tell you this, and maybe we could talk about this a little bit. As a person, like I said, that grew up in the church, my family had, I'll say, their own church for practical purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather was very rooted in the church. And he always used to tell me little snippets of things about church.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I took with me as an adult. Like, he would say, don't put all your money in the church. Take care of home first.
Mm-hmm.
Little things like that. And when I see somebody like TD Jakes, it just reminds me of everything that Eddie Long did. What Eddie Long did.
Right.
And it leads me to say, why are Black people so rooted in this kind of spirituality? where
Right.
they have to have some man standing up somewhere interpreting the Bible the way they want to interpret it, and then leaning on your pockets
Right.
for money every week, just
Right.
taking advantage of Black people. And this goes all the way back to slavery. And I really wish that we weren't so religious, and that if we were more in tune with God and the universe and the wonders of life, we'd be better off.
Right. Well, I mean, well, I'm kind of with you on a lot of what you're saying because, like I said before, to me, he's a motivational speaker, and I think he interprets the Bible the way that we as a people want to interpret it, like wearing makeup for women is right in his eyes. But I listen to Geno Jennings, and women are not supposed to wear makeup. And also, women are supposed to have their heads covered everywhere they are when they're out. And he allows them to come to church with short skirts on, tight blouses. And to me, that over the years, I kind of start looking at that in a strange type of way, okay, church women shouldn't look like this in church, with their clothes so tight. How do the men function knowing that? Because men are men now. We're just who we are. If we see a woman in a dress walk by and it's tight, we're probably gonna look, even if we don't stare. We're gonna take a peek, like, okay, wow, this, that, and the third. And it seems like everything is okay in his church for Black people to do. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So, with that being said, hey Harlem, if you want to come in, feel free to come in. So Sandy, let's watch this first clip from the Messy Sweet Spot, and then we'll come back and then we'll talk some more about this.
This video is going to get disgusting. When I tell you the stories that I heard about T.D. Jakes and his friends inside of the church, I almost wanted to puke, okay? So I just wanted to warn you guys. I was over there at Make It Make Sense YouTube channel. He was covering Larry Reed. He did an interview with one of T.D. Jakes' friends. And these guys, they are the leaders of the church. They are the pastors of the church, and they are the bishops of the church, okay? They talk about how he was in jail. It was a lady in the church, and she came across her son's journal. In his son's journal, it states how he had an affection for another man. So she went to this leader in the church, this man of faith, and told her about her son and tried to get her son to be delivered or to stray away from that type of life. So he takes the son in and he starts doing the ditty to her son, which was a minor. Could you really believe it? The men of the church, these women out here are so led astray. They are going to church just like T.D. Jakes, and they're sending their sons to these churches, trying to get them sons saved, when these pastors and the leaders of the church are the very ones that are taking advantage and doing the ditty to their sons. My goodness, and these men are in their 40s and 50s and 60s. How could you? How could you? So they're telling me he's opening his mouth and he's telling so much what goes on in T.D. Jakes' church with T.D. Jakes and a lot of boys. When I tell you this stuff is all around hip hop, it's all in the Black churches, and it is sickening and disgusting. So let's talk about it all here at the Messy.
All right. So now, Sandy, there's another video I'm going to play, and it's going to actually have this gentleman on there. His name is Dwayne Youngblood. But based off what you just heard from Messy Sweet Spot, what do you think?
Let me tell you something. the church has always been a hiding place for homosexuals.
Damn it.
Okay. And I say a hiding place because I went to a Franciscan school with nothing but Franciscan brothers, aka monks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of gay guys in there because they had to hide. You know, it wasn't acceptable to be gay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can hide amongst your own, right? Without persecution.
Right.
And that's how I feel about this. And a lot of pedophiles and predators will hide in the sanctity of a religious establishment because they get to be close to vulnerable people, be it children or young men that could be led astray or groomed. And there's nothing wrong with being gay, nothing.
Right.
But the problem is with the predators
Right.
and they seek power because once you have power, you're able to take advantage, to oppress, and to overcome others.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard a lot of young gay guys that I know or knew when I was younger. It was always some older man grooming them into the so-called lifestyle.
Right.
You know, yes, they were gay, but they weren't able to explore on their own. It was always some old guy abusing them or taking advantage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, okay, when this first thing came out about TD Jakes, I didn't want to believe it though. Because first of all, I don't know for sure. Second of all, a lot of stuff be on the internet. So I'm not really wanting to believe this first off. But then when he shows up at this Diddy party, then I started feeling like, okay, why are you there? And I got good common sense, like Kel said. I got good common sense to know that your ass should not be there. Not at a Diddy party. And this is before I knew anything about what level of a Diddy party was actually going on. So I'm thinking like, it's got to be girls there, there's drinking there, there's alcohol there, 9 times out of 10, it's some type of narcotics there. So even as a pastor, bishop, whatever you want to call yourself, that's not your environment. You're not being a good representation of a pastor, bishop. It just doesn't make logical sense. So, Sandy, with that being said, we're gonna go to our sponsor. Then I'm gonna go right into the video where Dwayne Youngblood is speaking. So nobody, don't go nowhere. This man is finna break it down in detail, and we'll see how we feel after that.
Kind of close with Bishop Jakes. And we decided in one of the times he was there, it was going to be his birthday. I was able to convince my mother to let me drive her car as I didn't have a vehicle. I said, well, we're going to take him out to eat. I want to drive your car. And so we did. We took him out to eat. And it was decided after we were done taking him out to eat that I would be the person to take him back
to his sleeping place, which at the time there was a lady named Sister Giles. She always wanted to house and take care of him when he came to that church. And so I came in there, drove him to eat, and then took him back to her home. Well, after taking him back to her home, he says, come on in, let's talk. You can't even imagine being 18, 19 years of age. This person is killing it, and they're saying to you, come on in, let's talk. And so I did. I went in. We sat down at a very long dining room table in a room that she had, and for 2 hours, it was unbelievable. Pouring of heart, crying, him talking about my father, we talking about these scenarios, and I inwardly just knew I had finally found someone who could get it. Someone who understood. I'm sitting at this table, and for the first time talking to any man, I got tears coming down my face because somebody gets me. Somebody understood what I was going through. Well, after sitting there and having this long discourse with him, I finally look at my watch, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to go. I got to get this car back to my mother. She's going to kill me. So I said to Bishop, I got to get up. And I got up from the table. He got up from the table. He walked around toward the way I had to exit quicker than I got over there. And when I started to walk past him, he pulled me to himself, wrapped his arms around me, and tried to kiss me. And in that moment, I literally died. I could not. I tell you, to this day, I can't remember how I got out of that place. But I remember driving home and all kinds of crazy thoughts and what in the world am I going to do now? And I finally get home, get in the house, get in the bed. I'm going to try to go to sleep. And I get to sleep and get up in the morning. And in the morning, I step into our bathroom and my home phone rings. My mother answers the phone and she says to me, Wayne, it's Elder Jakes. And I get on that phone. And when I get on that telephone, I can hear water. He is sitting in a bathtub. And in that thing, he says to me, without any hesitation, there's 3 things I need you to do. The first one is, when I come to Pittsburgh, you're going to be the only person I sleep with. The second one is, you can't sleep with anybody else because I don't want to give my wife anything. And thirdly, I will take care of you the rest of your life. I can't to this day remember how I got off that phone, but I do know I made a decision that I wasn't going to the service that night. And eventually I told my mother, I'm not going to go to service tonight. She says, no. You know we got a rule in this house. If we go, you go. I never told her what he had done. I went to church, and the most humiliating thing imaginable happened that night at church. Bishop Jakes, getting up to preach, speaks into that microphone. I'm going to ask young minister Youngblood to read for me. And after all of that trauma of the last 24 hours, I had to read before he preached.
Lord have mercy. Sandy, what do you think?
Well, I actually heard the whole entire interview.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, sometimes people are like wolves in sheep's clothing. I mean, he may not be a man of the cloth. Allegedly, I don't believe he is. That's just my heart and my sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to gain the power so they could do the nasty work.
Right.
Okay? So they could do the nasty work. Because if you, listen, let me just start here.
Mm-hmm.
What is religion? What is the Bible? Because you see what people are doing right now. Everybody's going crazy. Trump got a Bible. Everybody got a Bible. right?
Mm-hmm.
King
Mm-hmm.
George done rewrote the Bible to fit his nastiness.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we actually reading? Because the real true scriptures are locked up in the Vatican and we'll never see it. Because guess what? We could not handle the power of the truth, right? That's what the Vatican decided.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all those popes, all those priests, they do just what TD Jakes do. Well, I grew up, they were drinking and smoking and everything right out in public. It was not something they couldn't do.
Right.
They were doing all that. And then they were molesting kids. They were doing all that. The Catholic Church had to move them around, pay out millions of dollars to children, and
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of things. So I would say sometimes religion is a sham and it's used to do dirty, nasty work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could love the Lord. You could make a connection, like I say, and I tell everybody, make a connection with the universe. Absolutely feel grateful for everything you see, the stars, you know, the morning sun, the fresh air. Make a connection with that. Understand that man can't do that. That
Right.
man can't make that. But do not honor these men and women that stand up on a pulpit and look down upon you, fleece your pockets, rape your kids,
Mm.
lie to you, and just con you
Yeah.
and grift you. I drive through neighborhoods that look like a bomb went off. I will see 6 churches in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then poor people are going in there giving their money to people like TD Jakes and the other usual suspects. And what are they doing with that money? They're not giving it back. They're just fleecing and abusing people. Just like he allegedly abused this man. And this man I was talking, he was also an abuser. And he was locked up for his abuse.
Mm.
So he continued the practice of grooming and abusing.
Right.
He was groomed and abused, and then he went on to groom and abuse.
Yeah, that's that thing people say, hurt people hurt people.
Absolutely. But I want to say, what's wrong with the black church? What is the black church all about? Because now I didn't, like I said, I was going to Catholic school and whatnot, even though I grew up in a black church. There was so much undermined, underhandedness going on.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
we analyze this. This
I,
man is, you
I mean, I'm
know,
from Chicago. Most of the pastors, when I was coming up, they were pimps too. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Look at their attire. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at the way they know how to get your money.
Yeah.
Give me my money. I need a parking lot or I need a Cadillac. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. In Chicago, it was a pimp called Bishop Don Juan. He called himself a bishop, but he was
I
a
know
pimp.
Bishop Don Juan.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just crazy. Well, let me ask you this question. So I'm gonna give you the last word on this. I'm gonna ask you this. I don't know if you actually said it or you didn't say it, but do you believe Dwayne Youngblood? Do you believe what he's alleging?
I'm going to say this. I can't say I don't believe someone who's saying that something horrific has happened to them. I can't say that. But
Right.
I will say, like I said to you a minute ago, he turned on others.
Mm.
He turned on others.
Mm-hmm.
And he's by no means an innocent person. And he acknowledges that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
believe something has happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say everything is alleged until we can get proof of that. But who's going to prove it? I mean, it's been said. And there was another pastor that actually took advantage of him too. Because, a lot of times when one person finds their victim, they let others know that, hey,
Right.
they're easy mark too.
Right. Right.
So nobody wants to believe any of these things. But, the proof is always in the pudding. Like, they didn't want to believe Eddie Long was doing that until, you know,
Yeah.
the proof came out. And then he ended up passing away from HIV, from AIDS.
Mm.
And, really just destroying his legacy of being a community leader.
Right.
Instead of just getting out there and be a gay man and do what you want to do, live your truth, you over here hurting people.
Right.
Allegedly for TD Jakes.
Oh
And
my.
should he be at Diddy parties? I mean, you could be wherever you want to be if you're upholding yourself as, whatever that you purport yourself to be.
Right.
Okay? If you just a hoe out there, you can go and be a hoe. But if you're
Right.
acting like you're holier than thou, well, then you certainly shouldn't be acting like a hoe out there. You should be acting like the person that you claim you are.
Right. Right.
And as far as people coming to his church, how they look or whatever, listen, it's come as you are. If you're trying to come to church to get some healing or fellowship, wear whatever you got, just come on in.
Right.
But, we don't have to always think that we have to spare men because people are dressed a certain way. Men need to get a hold of themselves, and control themselves is what they need to do. Women do not need to be controlling men's, lusty eyeballs. Okay.
Well,
But
that's where I got to differ with you there. I think I don't want to see a woman walk into church with some jeans that look like they painted on her butt, and
well, I mean,
keeping
appropriate.
chest is sticking out.
Right.
I don't want to see that in church when I'm trying to praise God. I don't.
No, absolutely. I understand what you're saying. I mean, there's ways of being appropriate, but I'm saying
Right.
if you have a pair of jeans and you can go to your job in them, you should be able to go to church in.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. I don't want clothes to keep people from going and hearing or getting what they perceive they're going to get from that place.
No, of course not. I'm speaking from a perspective of like, if you let them, I know right now, it's some churches right now. Women are walking in there like they're going to the club or they're going on the stroll. Let's keep it real. See what I'm saying?
Well, let's also say we don't know why people are coming to church. Some people are coming to do business, just like the pastor is. Okay.
Right.
And they coming to do nasty work.
Right.
I mean, that's everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People coming. I know a lot of women going there looking for a husband, looking for somebody else's husband at that.
Right.
But I think that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem are these predators hiding behind the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hiding
Absolutely.
behind the Bible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
how can you even believe that they believe in God?
Right,
Believe
right.
if you're doing this. Listen, I always say that these so-called Christians don't believe in God. They want us to for control purposes. You controlling people to get sex from them, controlling people to get money from them, and it's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It is. I can see that side of it too.
It's about control.
Yeah, it's all about control. That's what it's about. I get it. So, Sandy, do you have any last words for the people before we get out of here?
I say people. People, guard your hearts, guard your kids, guard your family. If you feel church is for you and you feel a pastor has a good word for you, I won't ever say that's wrong. But just know that everyone is human and humans do some horrible things.
Okay.
And they could be found everywhere you go. Church, school, it don't matter.
Yeah.
So we have to listen to people when they come up and say, hey, this happened to me. TD Jakes got enough money right now to get up off and go to Bali and chill with Russell.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
before he lands up in Brooklyn, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay. All right, guys. I appreciate you, Sandy, for stopping through. And we'll talk behind the scenes later. Everybody else, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all the new followers. Keep hitting that like button, and I'll see you shortly.
That's right.
Stupid. Use your common sense.